Wow. What a terrible fade, but we're going to keep it. 'Cause it's later. We got a late start here, and I don't feel like doing that over. So, welcome, everybody, to the Empire In Exile podcast, episode 16. Wow. I mean, 16 episodes. I mean, 16. Not bad. I mean, I think we've missed 1 week in all of this. So,
I mean, this is. I feel like this shows. I mean, Dorf, you and I are podcast veterans, but we kind of. It was, it's been a crazy run. We kind of hit rock bottom there. It seemed like for a while, and had to kind of create this show out of nothing. And I don't know. I think we're it's coming around. Episode 16, killing it, man.
Yeah,
happy to be a part of it.
Awesome, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining me, Josh. So tonight's topic, the power vacuum that you're seeing in U.S. domestic politics. The first time, at least in my memory, that the status quo or the state is unwilling to use state power to put down anti-state violence.
Yeah.
Or at least try to. I mean, this isn't the first riots that we've seen in this country. I mean, they're actually relatively regular occurrence, believe it or not, throughout our history, especially in the last 100 years. I mean, they're a relatively regular thing. This just seems to be the first time where the powers that be, or state authority, or whatever you want to call it, the status quo, the establishment, has very little interest, except in some rare cases, in restoring using their still legitimate state power. So, and because that's happening, you're seeing other people or non-state actors fill that void, much like you'd see a warlord, warlord in different parts of the world, fill that power vacuum where the state can't flex its muscle to keep control.
Absolutely. As am I. Ted Wheeler.
Hell,
right.
Look at Seattle. It was kind of the Chaz.
Yeah, maybe if I burn my own, if I let my own city burn.
Hell, it had a warlord inside of 24 hours.
Then I can make him look that bad or that much worse.
The craziest part is and Orange Man bad. Well, he called you. Well, and the crazy part is it's not like a state or a faction that these individual leaders control. You don't control the mob, so you're counting on them being your side to begin with, and not just being, anarcho punks who just want to see it all burn. and that they will stay on your side throughout the duration of their mayhem. Which is a calculation I think that people forget that, we're just going to let this happen.
No, I mean, Dorf, to me, a lot of this can be summed up. In a world where
never has
emotion is valued over logic.
Any sort of riot that's allowed to continue.
This is what
happens.
Of
the world.
In a world where sociology or social sciences are valued over history or reason, this is going to happen. No one in their right mind, if they sat and thought about it, just put all the stuff out of your head that's emotional. That's what caused it. Bad is bad, good is good. You're just gonna let stuff. You're just gonna let people riot. You're gonna let stuff burn. You're gonna, and then you're going to criticize, like you said, Dorf. This is the power vacuum. This is the title of the show. You're going to criticize those that say, "No, I'm not going to do this. No, this is my life's work, and I'm going to stand in front of my barbershop with a shotgun. I'm not going to let people break my windows. I'm not going to let people do this." Barbershop's probably a bad example. Nobody wants to steal anything inside a barbershop. But
well, then again, Josh, you're under operating under
random acts of violence
here that all the property destruction was in order to loot. There's been a significant amount.
Sure, there are looters for sure, but a lot of it's just random acts of violence, really. Just
let's call it the George Floyd
just
situation.
Coming in and just wrecking stuff because it's fun. It's fun.
So we can loot that, or rather than it just happens to be here.
I do believe that. You can see that. We've all seen the videos. We've all seen the tapes. Can I add in a criticism here that I can't stand, that the media uses, that the right wing uses a lot to describe this, and this is I'm about done with people referring to the people doing this as anarchists. They are not anarchists. These are people pouting, wanting the government to give them free stuff, wanting the government to make their lives better. This is the epitome of not an anarchist. So too many people in this world who want to be intellectually honest use the words chaos and anarchy. They use the words chaos and anarchy interchangeably, it's wrong. Chaos isn't caused by anarchy. Look where these riots are happening. Are they small government places? No government places? Are they places without rulers? I'm trying to use every definition of anarchy here. Are they are they places that have an absence of government? No, these are big government places. So no. It's big government.
No.
Chaos is the better word. And chaos has been caused a hell of a lot more by big government than it has been by small government.
So what would be a better...
or no government throughout history. In the defense of chaos, there's been a hell of a lot more big government than small government in history. But that doesn't change the facts. That's, this is like saying, second baseman hit more home runs than pitchers. Well, yeah, they do. Still true, though. Still true. We all know why that might not be a totally fair example. In fact, I might have been given too much of the example with the second baseman pitcher analogy. But, this is chaos. There is looming chaos, and it is not getting better. So, regardless of how you feel politically or philosophically, do you think it's getting better?
Well, I really think it is. I think it is. I think it has gotten better. Um, the several steps have been taken by specifically the federal government to take decisions out of the hands of local prosecutors or local elected officials who.
Hey, bro, you know what's about to happen in a month and a half, right?
We take a booking photo, let these guys out with no bail and no charge, no charges.
All
or
right.
if they are going to be charged with no bail, and they just join right back in where they.
Please continue.
The Oregon, yeah, I know. I'm not done here. Well, specifically in Oregon, things have kind of calmed back down. The feds have deputized the Oregon State Police, so instead of anybody, the Oregon State Police for criminal riding behavior being tossed over to the local prosecutor, who's a sympathizer, or at least too afraid that they'll come burn down his house, that he doesn't charge people and releases them, or refuses to charge them and releases them. So now they skip the local prosecutor and jump straight to federal crimes. Those crimes are being done by the federal justice system, which is currently under the control of the Republican administration. So that's happening. Minneapolis has calmed down. Louisville's about to pop off again because they're actually expecting to announce something in regards to the Breonna Taylor case here shortly. Her family was just paid out, I believe, an undisclosed settlement for her loss of her life here over the end of last week. But apparently they've said no time off allowed. Generally means that they're about to announce something that's probably not going to make the mob happy. And get ready for Louisville to pop off again. But the rest of this city, I mean, you haven't seen the crazy activity, although you saw somebody ride a horse down the freeway in downtown Chicago today.
And not one cop there to tell him to stop horsing around.
Crazy was looted. The Miracle or the Magnificent Mile and looted again.
Yes. That's...
Hey,
I was hoping you'd pick up on that, man. I'm laying it on pretty thick here.
Driving down the expressway.
Didn't want to interrupt.
I did. I'm like, oh no, I moved on. Like, is he trying to make a pun there? Anywho, I think it's calming down quite a bit. You're still seeing isolated pockets. I mean, you haven't heard, at least nationally, about anything crazy going on in Seattle, Los Angeles again. Although there was just some crazy shit in Rochester, New York this weekend. It's not as widespread as, at least it doesn't feel from my, semi-urban Indiana household, that it's it's not that bad anymore.
It seems like I'm catching the vibes on the street.
What about you?
I feel like we're in a pressure cooker.
Am I wrong here? Am I forgetting something? Oh yeah, no, that's no doubt. Especially now that the notorious RBG is passed, and just to stick it to him, I think Donald Trump is about to propose a uber Catholic to the bench, who is in a previous written position said that any decision that the Pope has something to say about, she's going to have to recuse herself from, that being Amy Coney Barrett. That was prior to her time on the federal bench, when she had wrote an opinion, I believe, when she was still part of, I believe it was the state court, where she couldn't rule on any case involving the death penalty because
that actually is when they wrote that silly old thing
you're about to,
on the parchment, what was that thing called? Shit, what was it? Constitution. Yeah, when they wrote that, that's actually like what they meant.
The Constitution.
When they're talking about the ideas, I mean, that I don't think the word recuse is actually in the Constitution, but in the Federalist Papers and things like that, when they're talking about um, noble judges recusing themselves. That's actually what they mean. Yeah, I mean, she has a religious belief that what she's saying to me anyway. What she's saying with that is
Mm-hmm.
that religious belief doesn't actually line up for her constitutionally. So she's not going to allow that religious belief to play a part. I respect it personally, but I mean, I've been called an uber Catholic myself in the past, so although I'm pro death penalty, so I don't know. I'll have to take that up with.
She's. Here's the
yeah.
crazy
I remember
thing
we discussed this on the Empire Media back in the day, where. Yeah, no, I mean, real quick, we discussed that in the Empire Media back in the day, where you, who is, more conservative, and Adam, our old co-host, who is much, much more liberal than us, were both anti-death penalty, and me, who happens to be a devout Catholic, is pro-death penalty. So just kind of, I'm throwing that out there as background to show that Dorf and I sometimes have weird views, but I think they're logical and sound at the same time.
Yeah, so anywho, like that confirmation fight plus an election in under 6 weeks. God, is it?
I was told there'd be no math.
6 weeks, about 6 weeks out. Oh boy, you didn't. The only math I'm required to a previous number.
Okay, yeah, that's no.
Number, so you remember that.
You lose me after counting.
Oh no, we're about to. We're out of fingers for you already. We're about to
luckily, you guys can't see that I'm barefoot.
Are you in trouble?
I'm aight.
Me too. Anywho, anything else? I mean, it's the idea that the status quo or the establishment, whether that be a regional establishment like a state or a local establishment like the city of Portland or the city of Seattle, it allows chaos, thinking they can control and thereof will be positive outcomes. It's just like these people are not well read. Chaos overthrows lip, and guess what? This is going to sound extreme, but you see a lot of the let's call it the authoritarian leftist rabble rousers, who are open communists, open Marxists. That liberals get the bullet too. I hate to break it to you, Ted Wheeler. You're never going to be woke enough. You'll be the first one up against the wall when they decide to overthrow Portland.
These this is violence, and unfortunately, violence is rarely ended without more violence. I personally know of no major riot in history, certainly in American history, that hasn't ended with someone in power saying, after tomorrow, all rioters will be shot on sight. And them capping a couple before it goes down. This is how riots end, unfortunately. Or there's one other way they end. They topple the government and take over, and but I know what the U.S. government and U.S. military looks like, and I know what these rioters look like, and I don't think that's what we're looking at.
I know you didn't plan this, but perfect segue into the next topic here, that being when the state or the regional or local authorities refuse to use their state power to quell riots, other people step in, that being non-state actors, non-state groups such as militias. You're seeing that happen all over the country. You're seeing whether it's, Virginia, a militia, marching on the state capitol is essentially a tradition at this point, or you're seeing a lot of, like in Kentucky, the state is unable or unwilling to lock things down in Louisville because reasons, and some folk from there have banded together and decided they will fill that power vacuum. Um, that is an ugly outcome. It's only bad things can ever really happen from there because it's really hard to de-escalate that situation and get back to the status quo without large-scale bloodshed. Um, you're unlikely to see a civil war where government band A will start shooting government band B. But that doesn't mean you're not going to see in the post-election chaos or even the chaos leading up to this that
Sure. And what are these militias? Are the militias, quote unquote, are they pro U.S. government? Are they anti-U.S. government? It seems like most claim to be that they're actually pro government. I don't really know of anyone that isn't. I know that some of they claim to be, and it's not like I have this like long like laundry list of militias in front of me, but I see militias that are um anti what's going on, but pro Trump's government. Basically, Orange Man good, if you will. Orange Man good with guns. Right. But Dorf, then I also see other people. I'm not sure if BLM counts as a militia. Probably not. But I see BLM Antifa again. I'm hearing Donald Trump call these people anarchists. These organizations who are, I mean, they kind of are a militia, though. They are. I don't think they would use that word to describe themselves, but they are groups that are taking over areas, and they are a force. They are a forward moving force. But these again are not anti-government. They're anti political. Yeah, they are. They're anti the guy who's in charge, but they want Joe Biden to come in and fix all their problems. I mean, so again, these guys aren't anti-government. Maybe they're anti, certain things, but these people are rioting against. I mean, the vast majority of people who are, you know, um, forward-thinking and BLM, Antifa, all these things, they are ripping apart democratic cities, and in 6 weeks from now, they're going to go pull a lever with a D next to it. Or if they're voting. No, Dorf, I do not. Dorf, this is why I said the leadership in those parties. That's why I distinguished the leadership in those groups. I do not doubt that I know the numbers. I know how many people just don't vote anyway. But I do not doubt that many of them won't vote. But if they do, I highly doubt those people are. I mean, we have people rioting for No, they're not voting exactly. They're not voting for the Libertarian. They're not voting for the American taxpayers or the grassroots Constitution parties. They are not voting for this. They are not voting for Donald Trump. We can be fairly certain of that. If they're voting, they are most likely voting
And that would
for
be sad. Unfortunate.
for the Democratic Party. Potentially the Green Party, but the Green Party has a very small presence this year and is basically Green Party's kind of a little just kind of hanging off the Biden entrails today. They're running a candidate but saying like, but we're all going to vote for Joe Biden, right? In essence. Now you have the other militias who are saying, liberty, pro Constitution, American values, all this stuff. But this is a militia that's gonna turn around and vote for the dude that was president during this mess. So what my question is, I guess, what exactly are they fighting over? I mean, when I look at this, when I look at, militia groups mounting up, or other groups, political activist groups mounting up, and potential battles about to take place in the streets of the United States, neither side containing, military regulars, to use a term from 17 and 1800s. Use neither side containing those, but yet these clashes are about to happen. I can't help but ask, what exactly are they fighting over? And I also can't help but ask, I know I get accused of it all the time. I know this hat's not made of tinfoil, but I can't help but think, is this contrived? Is it? All right, geez, I need a haircut so bad. I can't do it. Man. It's yeah, no, I can't do it. Well, you know me, man. Masks are required for haircuts here in Detroit.
Take it off. Prove there's not a tinfoil
I will not wear a mask. So,
I'm kidding.
Also,
that's exactly why I'm wearing a hat tonight.
I'm thinking about it. But I still respect the right of I'm not that guy who's going to barge into a place of business and say you must service me.
Hey man,
that's not
$20
that's
on
not
Amazon.
They have the right to turn me down. If I see a quick little ad on the side like, "Hey yo, barbershop open over here. We don't require masks," I'll be there tomorrow. But I gotta, I've made my, I've chosen my side, and I'm ready to face whatever adversity falls upon me for the choices I've made. So that's me. But I can't help but think that, yes, that there are puppet masters out there, that there are people pulling these strings, and if I were going to run the ultimate chaos playbook,
fair enough,
that ended with, okay, well, we didn't want the big bad government to come in and squash this rebellion, but you all know we have to now. This is exactly how I do it. I mean, this is going to end. Sure. And of course, I always preface this because people like to. I actually like the term false flag. I think it's a very good term. But a lot of people think that when someone says false flag, that means that it didn't happen. False flag doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means it didn't happen the way they say it happened. If Absolutely right. Yes.
No, I mean, if you go back to root of a false flag,
I've said that the Vegas shooting was a false flag. He was like, "Oh, what are you talking about? It happened."
The population up into doing something. I mean,
I didn't say it didn't happen. What I'm saying is it didn't happen the way they said it was. And yes, I know it happened. I was actually there. Um, couple blocks away. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was at the airport.
You
But
were in
yeah,
town.
I mean, this is.
I forgot. I don't know if we discussed it on the air. Josh,
I can't help but think that
you were in Vegas when that happened.
That much of this is contrived. I'm sorry. This absolutely positively makes me a conspiracy theorist. I realize this. I don't know how many conspiracy theories need to come true before people stop saying conspiracy theorist as a.
Well, I'm not gonna. Josh, I don't disagree with you. I don't have the receipts for this claim I'm about to make either. There is non-state actors, whether that being, the boogie George Soros, front groups run by Iran, China, Russia, an adversarial relationship with us that probably have agents on the ground. You saw particularly like right when the initial chaos in Minneapolis was kicking off. You saw that guy in essentially spec ops gear, air fingers quote, just trying to start that fire at that auto zone where people were yelling at him like, "What are you doing? You stop doing." It was a white dude who just boogied away after he got a fire going inside that. I think it was an auto zone. Don't be surprised if you find out one day that wasn't a spy or a non-state agent or spy, contractor spy, whatever you want to call him, from a foreign government or somebody under the control of a foreign government trying to make sure chaos. Because while we're sitting here bickering on about, it's not that these things are trivial, but in a international geopolitics standard, while we're sitting here bickering about what happens in our own backyard, China is about to institute a draft. They haven't slowed down. They've expanded their island creation activities and encroaching on other people's foreign lands. Turkey's doing the same thing, about to get in a dick measuring contest with Greece. And by the way, China and India have started shooting at each other. That's two nuclear powers have started shooting at each other again. All while, my corona, the coronavirus is a real thing. It has killed people, sure. But all while we whip people up into a frenzy about something at this point, for all intents and purposes, is no longer... It has killed more people than the seasonal flu. At this point, it's about as deadly as the seasonal flu, and that's probably what will be.
Dorf.
I think the death curves and hospitalization curves back me up on that. While we still can't stop tripping over ourselves,
I'll spur everybody out there
crap.
Who is going to then say, "Are you a scientist? Are you a doctor?" No, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. Hell, you know what, Dorf? You're a hell of a lot better at reading data than I am, especially when it comes to numbers.
But I can read data.
Told you about me and math, but I'm not. I'm not going to tell you that the coronavirus is not dangerous. I'm not going to tell you that it's the worst thing ever either. I'm going to tell you this, though. I'm going to tell you it's the year 2020, and that we have greater technology than we've ever experienced, ever. We have better means to combat things like this than we ever have, and that we have experienced the greatest loss of liberty in the United States of America, and greatest loss of liberty.
I'm
not
even going
to
say greatest loss
Absolutely,
of liberty.
for sure.
But greatest transfer of wealth.
The greatest loss of liberty in American history and in the world. No, but no, the greatest loss of liberty on paper.
The greatest loss of liberty in my
Patriot
mind
Act,
is the
but
Patriot
not
Act.
executed.
I
mean, what liberty did you lose in the Patriot Act? Right, and that gave way to this. But they didn't take away your
The
Fourth Amendment right
is not worth the paper
when
it's written
with the
on
Patriot
anymore.
Act. They took it away. They took it away. No, they didn't, because rights aren't taken away on pieces of paper, Dorf.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Rights
yeah,
aren't taken away. They justified their ability.
What was allowed to
their
the Department
ability
of Homeland Security
to take away your right with the Patriot Act. They justified their ability to take it away with giving emergency powers acts in the 60s to governors of states, but they didn't take away the liberties then. They wrote it down on a piece of paper then. They didn't tell you couldn't leave your house in 1965 when they, gave the governor of Michigan supposed powers to take your rights away. They didn't take away your Fourth Amendment right when they wrote the Patriot Act. They took away your Fourth Amendment right when they started spying on you through the internet. They took away they took away your rights when they said you can't leave the house. If you own a business, you're not allowed to serve people who aren't wearing a mask. That took away the right. That actually took away the right in an institutionalized way. Yeah, trust me, Dorf, I hate the Patriot Act. I hate all this stuff. I'm that guy that says every single gun law is an infringement on the Second Amendment. But with that being said, until they knock
people,
your door
if you don't
down,
believe,
and
Josh,
then they
Josh
pry
will
it out of the
argue
cold dead hands of all the people that claim that's how it's going to go down. That's when they take the right away. Right now is when the rights went.
Hey, going down in Australia right now. I have
friends in Australia, a lot of friends in Australia, several. Not a lot. That makes it sound like I know 1,000 people.
Look what's going on in Australia right now. It's you thought that Orange Man would be bringing martial law to the streets, where a guy who took out his trash without a mask on at after the curfew or whatever got his teeth kicked in.
And in Australia,
who have broad sweeping emergency powers to just we're gonna search because we're gonna arrest you because you are attempting to organize on Facebook an anti-government protest.
Well, I mean, in Australia, they've never had freedom of speech. They've never had these rights. But and how many people even have the Rona in Australia and New Zealand? Like a half a dozen or something?
Like 7. And not literally, but it's like
nobody. It's nobody. It's not an issue. It is not an issue. Same with...
Well, guess what?
In
virus.
India,
I hate to break it to people. Virus
gonna and dragging them away and throwing them in the trunks of Volkswagens too. I mean, it's
I hate to break it to you guys. Virus gonna virus. You lock down and we didn't have a single case of the coronavirus in New Zealand for 8 weeks. Well, guess what, guys? You haven't built up any sort of herd immunity. And you're not going to be able to keep things locked down until if and when there ever would be a vaccine that you could distribute massively to force people to take. Whether assuming it works, which it probably won't. It's going to get you eventually.
Dorf, I know you love data. And when you look at the data from all the different countries and then try to cross-reference the data, and I've tried to do this, I really have. When you take all the data, try to cross-reference it with how severe the lockdowns of those nations were, there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's virtually no correlation. So this is what I'm saying. So there is no rhyme or reason to this data, which you can then try to hyperanalyze the data, or you can be logical and say the lockdowns and the government's actions have had virtually nothing to do with it. I mean, you look at the United States by percentage. I mean, you got Switzerland and Sweden, a little lax. You got Australia and New Zealand, just dropping the hammer. Then you try to compare the United States, per million to these things. I mean, Belgium and UK have us beat with cases. France and Germany below. They all roughly did the same thing. There isn't a rhyme or reason to this. Right, right. Mhm. Listen, listen, Dorf, you're a bigger data guy than me. You're into it way more than I am. But listen, data is awesome if it's good data. Right. But if it's lousy data, then it's worthless. If it's not used properly, I mean, the scientific methods work has existed for a long time. These until the year 2014 when we decided that people's feelings were more important. Reason? Yeah. No, listen. If people haven't seen the movie Idiocracy, they need to. I used to recommend. Right. No, I used to recommend the movie Idiocracy years ago. I probably watched that movie 50 times. The first 25 times I watched it because it was hilarious. I watch it now, it's not funny. I literally watched the entire movie without laughing now. It is a profound mockumentary, if you will. This is what, if you haven't seen that movie, watch it. And you used to watch it and laugh. Now you'll laugh and maybe cry a little bit too. But so I don't know. I mean, so just I guess keep keep watching your cable news. Keep hiding in your house. Keep Mhm.
Virus, get a respiratory virus. For us and spread this fear porn because that's what the economic environment
Right.
incentivizes. It doesn't incentivize getting it right. It just incentivizes getting people to click on it. And that's fine. It's just the public ignorance of that fact and taking everything you read at face value and
That's why I don't like the idea of trust and verify. Trust and verify
is just killing me. I mean,
is
then
something
again,
that you say
to trust but verify. Honestly, like if this didn't make me so angry, you know the policies surrounding Corona, do you think I would honestly looked into whether or not what I'm reading is true? No. Well, it's not even trust. It's not even trust, but verify. It's just a healthy amount of skepticism is probably a better way to say that.
Do you know what I trust and verify, Dorf? What I trust and verify, I trust and verify things that you say.
Like,
because I know you and I trust you.
Attempt to read the scientific
There's another,
these
20 people in my life that when they say something, I trust and verify.
There's quite a few
when
instances.
I see something on the internet, when I hear something on television, when I hear something on the radio,
where the study doesn't
I question everything. And I ask people to do the same. Don't just question the stuff that doesn't sound right. Question the stuff that does sound right. The media, news media, television, radio, internet, newspapers, they have done nothing but show us that they are wrong very frequently for all time. No, I mean, for decades they showed us they were wrong a lot, and now they show us that they're wrong a whole lot, but also that they have enormous bias and agendas. So someone who is frequently wrong and has a biased agenda should not be trusted then verified. They should be distrusted and verified. They should be questioned over and over again and then still maybe kind of trusted, But so many people out there, they don't want to just they want to distrust. If you're a Democrat, you don't want to trust Fox News. If you're a Republican, you don't want to trust MSNBC. But nobody out there doesn't want to trust both sides. When we both know in our hearts that both sides are lying to us, right? Look at the Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing right now. This is the example. If you were for Merrick Garland being put into the Supreme Court when Barack Obama nominated him at the end of his term, you better be for Donald Trump nominating somebody to the Supreme Court right now. If you were against Barack Obama being able to put in Merrick Garland into the Supreme Court after Justice Scalia died because his term is about to end and the people need to speak and fill in the blanks with unconstitutional nonsense, then you better be against Donald Trump doing it. Is Who holds that position, though? Nobody holds that position, Dorf, because they never held their position based on the Constitution. They never held their Constitution based on logic. They never held that position
No,
based on
people have.
justice or what is right or what is the better system or how the system should be interpreted. They based it because I like the guy with the R next to his name, or I like the guy with the D next to his name. That's it. That's it. I am proud to say that when Justice Scalia died, who was one of my idols, absolutely loved Antonin Scalia. Huge fan of mine. I'm a huge fan of his. He wasn't a huge fan of mine. He died not having a clue who I was. But no, I was a huge fan of Justice Scalia. Definitely my favorite Supreme Court justice in my lifetime. When he died, I said, and hey, I'm not opposed to some, there's some weird conspiracy theories, if you will, about the death of Antonin Scalia and what surrounded it and all these things. And yeah, I mean, no, I mean, yes, I actually, but that's a different time, you know. No, and that is a conspiracy, and I'm not even.
Oh, I got it.
I could show you some stuff, but not now.
That's a conspiracy,
but despite all that, I was not a Barack Obama fan. Certainly didn't vote for him either time. He was president of the United States. The idea that
it's one of his
in the year 2020, quite
Court
frankly, this
it,
entire process,
verified or, approved by the Senate. That's the check on executive.
I pointed out earlier, I don't know data nearly as well as Dorf. I don't know a lot of other things nearly as well as a lot of other people. I do know the Constitution pretty well. And I do know the intent of the Constitution pretty well. And in the year 2020, with our technology and the way the world works, the way the system works, when a Supreme Court justice dies, that spot should be filled in, I don't know, 72 hours. And no, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to. Sure, absolutely, yeah. No, it should be.
Or John, hell, you could even say this before the next schedule.
Quite frankly, in the year 2020, and I'm not. You know, I'm. This is truly how I believe it should be interpreted, and how I interpret it. And the year 2020, it should be somebody. You're president of the United States. You should have the person picked out. Really, I mean, to me, okay.
Ready to go. Well, I mean, to Orange Man's credit, he released a list 2 weeks ago of, this is the list I'm choosing from. He didn't write it. I think it was actually the Federal
The idea that Donald Trump isn't president right now.
This will do.
Before the election, before anything, I mean, he's president. Even right, and I'm gonna crap on the Republicans real hard right now.
He's president
Barack Obama had like 11 months to go, and they blocked him. Nonsense. It's bullshit. There's no other way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they shouldn't. Here's the thing, Josh. I didn't vote for Orange Man. I still don't know if I will.
It does matter because the popular vote is going to play into the chaos that is going to ensue. So.
Sure. For that matter, it does. But my state will be going red no matter what if I
got you. No, I got you.
From just voting on that ticket. I don't vote at all, or if I am standing in line at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It's okay. No, but
I forget where I was going here. Anywho, Oh no, I got it here again. The
It was.
Mitch McConnell. It was an unprincipled and anti-constitutional thing to do what he did to sit on Merrick Garland. But the Machiavellian cutthroat power games, which he is essentially put in the position of majority leader of the Senate to play.
Machiavellian, yes.
His party doesn't own the
power hungry, yes.
That was the absolutely
government controlled, yes.
Machiavellian thing to do.
Good idea for your partisan beliefs, yes. But not even close.
I don't disagree with you here, but it's not within the original. It's not within.
I'm trying to remember, Dorf.
What the GOP loves to.
What are the powers laid out in the Constitution for the Senate Majority Leader?
Definitely not what they had in mind.
I always have trouble with this. Right. Oh, that's right. The reason I can't remember is because the idea of Senate Majority Leader, House Majority Leader, Senate Minority Whip, all these positions you hear about, none of them are in the Constitution. None of these exist. These are things created. Hang on, let me finish this, Dor. These are positions that were created.
Oh, brief aside here.
Through
we've talked about
through the government for their own ease of function, for functionality. That's okay. It doesn't say that the Constitution doesn't say that you can. Yeah, I mean that's fine, but they don't actually have powers. The idea that Mitch McConnell is more powerful than the other 99 senators is completely made up. It's neat. That's
the majority sets the schedule. The majority sets the schedule, and he's the majority leader. With that being said,
the president. There is always a president. The president is the acting president of all time. Joe Biden right now has no power whatsoever. Just like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton had zero power at the end of Barack Obama's term. So, truth be told, I would hold this position, and any constitutionalist, any person who values the Constitution at all, should hold this position. I'm not normally in the game of telling other people what position they should hold, but I'm going to do that today. I'm going to tell you exactly what position you should hold. If the election is held the first Tuesday of November, and Joe Biden wins, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, rest in peace, dies. She celebrates Christmas with her family and dies on December 27th. Guess who should be picking the next Supreme Court justice? The 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, should absolutely, positively be picking that Supreme Court justice. He should pick it, and guess what?
And at the same time, the Senate, it's still within the...
Get out in the snow, catch a plane, do what you need to do, have the vote via Skype, I don't care. But that Supreme Court justice should be verified before the new year. All the other crap that's going on is made up. It's fake.
I don't even think you could say, hang on. I think you're missing a huge part here. The Senate's advice and consent rule. I don't even say it needs to be verified. It needs to be a period of time. If the Senate isn't gonna, it doesn't consent to it, then they have that check on the executive authority to not approve the nominee. But the idea that
the Senate should be providing reason for that.
Would a simple up-down majority vote be reason enough?
I guess it is. I mean, I guess it is, but
okay.
Any senator is absolutely guilty of dereliction of duty if they vote no on someone who is qualified to be a Supreme Court justice. That's exactly how the Constitution reads. You are not voting on the Supreme Court justice whether or not you like them. You are voting on, was the president allowed to nominate this person? Are they qualified? Are they intellectually sound, intellectually and physically sound to hold the office? That's it. There's no politics in it. I mean, this is supposed to be an upvote. The You know what? You're right, and it's a flaw. It is. It is a legitimate flaw because the framers wrote the Constitution assuming that people would be honorable. Yeah. They assumed, and they assumed that the people would choose and seek out and vote for honorable men and women to hold these positions. And we don't seek those people out. But even so, I mean, he should appoint someone. We should be voting on it. And you know, if things like that really are voted right down party lines, I mean, even with the Merrick Garland thing back in the day, you know, back with Obama, you know, yeah, sure, the Republicans held the Senate, but had that been held to an actual vote right away, God, I would like to think that with the right that with the Democrats voting D, because you know that's what we do. I got to imagine there was 3 or 5 or whatever was necessary Republicans who have read the Constitution like at least once, who would recognize that and actually vote that way. Maybe not. Really, seriously, maybe not. I don't doubt it, but if that's the case, the system is broken. By the way, for people out there who are like, oh my God, like, what's Josh saying? Why is he a Democrat tonight? I don't like Merrick Garland at all. I dislike him. I loved Antonin Scalia. I kind of like Justice Kavanaugh. You know, I mean, and what they did to Kavanaugh was ludicrous. It was ridiculous what they put that man through. So the injustice on both sides of the aisle, I have no desire to debate which side, the R or the D, are more corrupt. They're both terrible. If there's evidence to show that one of them is a little bit more worse or terribler, that's great, neat, hilarious. Who cares? They both suck, and they're both abusing their power, and we're fine with it because we're at home yelling at our TVs, screaming either Orange Man bad or Orange Man good, and it's garbage. And what's so weird about it, Dorf, too? And I'll wrap up after this. I'm sorry, but what's so weird about this is that they talk about fairness. They talk about this. Had they actually followed the Constitution, then Scalia died right before Barack Obama ended. He would have appointed Merrick Garland. Ginsburg dies right before Trump gets out. He could have appointed, I don't know, Kavanaugh. And it would be the exact same thing. There would be, it's no big deal. You know, this idea that we have to maintain like a steady right-left division in the Supreme Court just shows that our system is hanging by a thread. It shows that the people in power know that this really can't be maintained much longer, and that if the Supreme Court shifts one side to the other, we're just screwed. It's over. It's done. You know. Not a good look. It really not. It's rough, man. It's rough. If you ask me, that's proof positive that it's all over but the shouting. But we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna have a crazy couple of weeks, man. Crazy month and a half. Oh, I mean, not unconstitutional behavior. Um, I, um, I mean, criminal behavior can still be deemed as criminal behavior. If that is what's happening, but the idea of assembling, assembling peacefully, even assembling peacefully with the ability to become not so peaceful, certainly not unconstitutional. Um, we're well, you know what? You know what? They like to point out the guys that show up and peacefully open carry an AR-15. And by the way, I was at that very first Michigan protest, and they sure did like to take, they sure like to snipe like half a dozen pictures and put that on the radio or put that on the news and act like that's was the norm or what happened that day, when it certainly wasn't the case. But that's neither here nor there. But any protest, guns, no guns, left, right, no matter what the sign says, any protest is, by definition, a show of force. The idea of the peaceful protest is to march upon a place, remain peaceful, but what you're saying is, this is how many people are on our side. We are peaceful today. We may not be peaceful tomorrow. Fix X, Y, and Z. That is the very definition of a protest. Many people who show up to a protest may not ever have that thought. I tend to kind of think protests are dumb often, but because I don't feel like the people are really on board with it. I feel like a lot of people go for a fad, but that is what they're saying. That is what you're supposed to be. That's the idea of the protest, is that we're protesting peacefully today so we don't have to be non-peaceful tomorrow. Get in line, do X, Y, and Z, and right. Because, and they're showing you by having so many people there, they're saying, we're not burning down the Capitol building. But look how many people are standing behind me.
Redress our grievances so we don't have to make
We could. We could if we wanted to. And that's what whether you're holding an AR-15 or holding a sign or, it's...
Yet.
What you do defines how peaceful you are. A person holding an AR-15 not harming anyone, and a person holding a rock throwing it at someone's head, which one is violent and which one isn't? If you're logical, if you're reasonable, the answer is obvious. Guns, rocks, sticks, Molotov cocktails, these are amoral objects. They don't have thoughts. Right. These are, a brick can be used to break the window of your beautiful car. It can also be used to build a home.
They don't act on their own.
A gun can be used to shoot a deer that feeds a family. It can also be used to commit a horrific murder. Right. It can be absolutely amoral, where it can be devoid of morals and just I'm shooting at a target because I think it's fun.
It can also just be used to shoot at
that absolutely works.
Pop some paper.
Yeah,
punch some paper.
That's we didn't really even get into police presence in this tonight too much, but perhaps maybe we can do a follow-up or something that more focuses on that thing, unless you wanted to jump into it. But... yeah. That's what I was thinking. That is it, sir.
All right. Anything else, Dan?